Okay, we are back. Welcome to another episode of the Millennial Entrepreneur. My name is Sina, and from starting my own business and getting funding from O2 while studying at university, I love following the journeys of other young entrepreneurs. Today, I had an amazing conversation with Lauren Bell, founder of Cosy, a business that has created patented technology to help children suffering with eczema. We talk about how she took an idea for a physical product straight out of uni to prototyping, taking part in loads of startup competitions, pitching in front of some huge names, patenting it, and manufacturing in China, as well as creating an amazing brand in anticipation for the long-awaited launch. As always, if you do enjoy, please be sure to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It really does help me out. Share it with your friends, and don't forget to follow us on our new Instagram page. That's where all the new episodes get announced. The link's in the description. Alright, let's get on with the episode. Hey Lauren, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, really good, thanks. Just keeping inside because of the whole Corona thing, making my podcast. It's been alright.
It's good. It's good that you found this to do. It's kind of come at a perfect time, really, that you can lock yourself away and actually focus on this. Sounds like you're getting a lot of people involved.
Yeah. How's Cozy Care doing?
Yeah, Cozy Care is good. Still kind of working on it full time. The company's gone for about 18 months now. Started it straight after uni. So I've kind of ever since then just been working on it non-stop. And yeah, even with the virus hitting, I'm still kind of plugging away, which is good. There's always stuff to do with a new business. So yeah, still keeping busy.
For people that don't know, what is Cozy Care and what are you trying to achieve?
So Cosy Care is a business that kind of stemmed from a personal experience with eczema. So my little brother Reese has really severe eczema, and growing up he really struggled to like stop scratching. So my business is completely dedicated to like helping children avoid damaging scratching and creating fun alternative products for them. And it kind of started in university. So my background's in design, and for our major project, we had to solve a problem through good design. So I kind of dedicated my major project to solving a problem for my family and my brother, and that's kind of where Cosy Care was born, really.
Yeah, it's a really cool story because it's a very personal story as well, and that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you on because I didn't suffer with eczema, but I know a lot of my friends did, and a lot of them still have like small scars from the whole scratching, and it affects so many people in the UK and abroad,
Yeah,
obviously.
no, it really does. It has like a huge impact on everything from like, families' daily routine to how the child feels about themselves, their self-confidence and their ability to just lead a normal life, essentially. And there are so many people affected. It's like 1 in 5 children have eczema. So there's literally millions in the UK. And it can range from being like really severe or quite mild. But the likelihood is if you mention eczema to someone, someone knows someone with eczema. It's either, oh, my sister has
Yeah.
eczema, or, my auntie has eczema, or someone in their family can at least relate to it, which kind of shows how big an issue it is, really. So that's the mission of the business, is just to help those people that suffer. And it's not kind of exclusive to eczema as well. It's kind of anything that causes itchiness. So that could be psoriasis or chicken pox. There's so many other conditions out there that are causing people frustration and pain. So we kind of want to help that, really.
So how are you helping that at the moment?
So at the moment we've designed our first product, which is kind of an electronic cooling device. So what that does to help people suffering is it essentially just cools the skin. So when you have an itch that you need to scratch, you're obviously going to scratch it. You scar your skin and you get trapped in this really vicious cycle. But what we try and do is offer children kind of instant relief through cooling, and it has kind of textured plate as well that they can use to mimic scratching. So it's this really kind of nice experience to have with a product that actually gives you instant relief, because at the minute all that's available is like moisturizer after moisturizer. So it's a little bit of a different approach, and it's kind of more focused around offering like that instant relief from itching, which is what we're trying to achieve with our first product. And we're constantly communicating with people in the eczema community as well. We're trying to build our Instagram and, really let
Yeah.
people know we're doing and get people on board. So yeah, that's the product anyway, the concept of it, and we're just trying to let as many people know as possible, really.
It's a really wonderful product because with eczema, I know sort of the relief with scratching is, yeah, moisturizers, but if it does get worse, it's just a lot of creams and ointments that could make it worse, actually. A lot of my friends took that sort of stuff and it made their situation worse. So this is a very like, yeah, it's a natural thing where you don't have to put chemicals on your skin.
Definitely. I mean, a lot of people will have the experience of maybe getting a skin condition, going to your GP, and you're prescribed maybe steroid creams, or in serious cases where you have an infection, you may have to have antibiotics. So that's when scratching gets, really bad, and the solution that's currently out there can actually have quite harmful long-term effects on your skin as well. Like steroid creams, for example, will thin the skin over a course of, over a period of time. So what we're trying to do is
Really?
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like my brother was prescribed steroid creams for years, and he only realized the long-term implications when he realized that his hands were becoming a lot more like prone to scarring and cuts and things like that. Is because his skin was thinning out, and steroid creams had had a really negative impact on his skin. So that was another kind of motivation for me as well, to be
That's
like, do you know what?
crazy.
I know it really is, and it's not a lot of people are fully educated on that as well, and that's what we're trying to do as a brand. We're trying to not only let people know, steroid creams aren't your only option. You can use alternatives. You can use products like mine that offer cooling before it gets out of hand and you need steroid creams and antibiotics. So yeah, it can be a really scary route to go down. So that's kind of what we're trying to avoid with our brand.
Yeah, I didn't know that at all. That's a really scary concept because if you do have eczema, that seems like your only option at the moment before you guys came along.
Yeah.
So there's obviously a huge problem there, and you saw the problem. But so how did you kind of go from the idea, that there's a problem there, to a
Mhm.
product? Because the first iteration of your product was it was a turtle, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So I started the project in university, and the original product, or concept, was this massive wooden turtle, completely like unrealistic to mass manufacture. It had like 1,000 components to it. It was all handmade as well. So everyone told me, when you do your major project, make something small and make something simple. And I did the complete opposite. I made handmade wooden 20-kilogram turtle. It had like a
Yeah.
thousand rotational metal balls on there. And the idea was that you could kind of roll around on this turtle, and the metal would cool your skin as you play. So that's what it was at uni. And I called him Cosy because Cosy, or Cosy, is actually Welsh for itching. So that's why his
Oh,
name.
that's cool.
Yeah. So as you can probably tell, I'm Welsh. So that's kind of a little nod to like Swansea and like where I come from, my family roots. So yeah, so it started off as Cosy, and then I decided to join the Central Research Lab. So this was like an accelerator program for new ideas that have potential in being turned into a commercial business. So this massive turtle then turned into more of a handheld starfish design product that had less parts, and it was easier to make and manufacture, and it was more kind of compact. So that's how I made that transition into being this nice one-off product into something that could actually be commercialized and turned into something that we could make at scale.
I've actually seen the turtle on your Instagram. It's a beautiful turtle, and
Thank
yeah,
you.
does this is it still around? Do you still have it in your house somewhere?
I definitely do. I mean, the blood, sweat, and tears I put into that turtle, there was no chance I was throwing it away. It's currently in my spare bedroom. So yeah, I still have it. I'm probably not going to get rid of it anytime soon. But yeah, it's kind of taken up a massive kind of space in my spare bedroom at the moment. So I
Must be
still
quite a
have it.
good conversation starter if people visiting your house see that.
Yeah, my nephews love it. Like I feel like that's the only reason they come visit me, is just to play on the turtle. But yeah, no, it's
See
definitely
the big turtle.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I definitely still have it. People still love talking about it. I still get emails about it. Like, are you selling the turtle? I'm like, no, definitely not. It's something I'm gonna hand down to my grandkids, I think.
So you made the turtle yourself. It was handmade, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the turtle was completely handmade, and it was made from wood, metal, and then it had like these fabric legs that you could sit on as well. Um, so yeah, it was all handmade. It was all made in workshop, and obviously it was made as a one-off piece. When I was making it at
Yeah.
university, it was just to be made as a prototype to present for my major project. And then because of the interest we had about, what we were trying to do with this product and the new kind of idea that we had around eczema treatments, when we exhibited it at our graduate show, Made in Brunel, people were asking me, like, have you ever thought about starting a business with this concept? And I was like, yeah, definitely. I've always wanted to start a business. And then I applied for the accelerator course, and then it kind of went from there and turned into more of a commercial, small electronic product. And over the course of 6 months, this large turtle turned into more of a gadget, a handheld product. And then I was thinking about ways, how could I maybe mass manufacture this? How could I make this suitable, to commercialize essentially?
So a bit more about the prototyping phase, because I know that's a phase that a lot of people kind of struggle with. They know there's a problem there, and they have a few ideas as to how to tackle this problem.
Yeah.
And you obviously then went from the turtle to a more handheld device. How did you do the whole prototyping phase with the handheld device? And like, yeah, what advice would you give to people that want to prototype?
Yeah, I definitely can relate to people, especially creatives, either designers or entrepreneurs that have an idea, maybe a physical product, and they don't know how to make that product suitable for either manufacture or to make at a larger scale. And I find that with a lot of students, that leap from one off prototype to making it suitable for manufacture is one of the biggest challenges. That's definitely something that I found quite, scary and daunting. How do I make this suitable for manufacture?
Yeah.
So what I did simply is I looked at the turtle, and I knew that one, it was made from wood, which is expensive. Two, it was made from a lot of different components. So there was going to be a lot of money that would need to be put into, parts and assembly and quality control. So what I did is I looked at that product and I thought, what could I do to this? What is the core concept of this product? And the core concept was cooling. So I thought, okay, so how could I apply the concept of cooling the skin to something smaller, easier to use, easier to make? So then I started like ideating with the Centre of Research lab, who was helping me with the product development. And I sat down and I did some sketching, I did some testing, and it turned out it's a starfish, by the way, because it's really easy to hold. So if you ever hold one of my products, they fit perfectly in your hand, and your hand is also in the same position as if you were to be scratching. So I thought the star was a really good shape to start with. And then I started experimenting with materials, so things like different metals, different ceramics that got cold essentially that we could use for the cooling plate. So it started off like that. I did a bit of 3D printing. I started to test ideas with children, so we did a few like small focus groups with our few very simple prototype mock-ups that we got 3D printed, and then from that
Yeah.
then I actually visited China. So as part of the accelerator program I did, part of that program was we would visit Shenzhen and we would talk to factories and manufacturers and engineers. So that's what I did. I went to China and I showed them the concept that I had. And then I started talking to a sourcing agent. Now, a sourcing agent is someone in China that connects maybe 4 or 5 different factories that do processes for a few different materials. So the sourcing agent that I met really opened my eyes to the actual logistics of bringing together these factories and being able to be finished with a product in a box. So that was kind of a big turning point for me when I went to China, is that I actually met a sourcing agent that opened my eyes to how the best way of doing something is. And it's about reaching out to a good sourcing agent that can connect all these factories and communicate with all these factories, understand your product from a material and process point of view, and then make recommendations based on that. So that's kind of how I went about starting the kind of mass production route anyway.
Who are these people? What is a sorting agent? I've never heard of these guys before.
So a sourcing agent is
Oh,
basically
sourcing,
like
not sorting.
they do what it says in the tin. Basically, they source factories, so they're your one point of contact, and they have a network of, for example, I'll take my product as an example. They have access to a metal workshop, a silicone manufacturer, an electronic workshop, and a packaging company. So those are the four main things I needed to make my product. And the sourcing agent, I communicate with the sourcing agent, and the sourcing agent communicates with all the factories and brings the product together. Now, you can meet sourcing agents even on websites like Alibaba. I met a good sourcing agent through my accelerator program, and it's always good to hear or get a recommendation, because there are thousands in China and it's really
Yeah.
hard to pick a good one. The way to go about it is maybe reaching out to any kind of hardware accelerators in London or where you're based, and just to see if they have any good connections with any sourcing agents in China, because that would be your first point of call with getting a product put together kind of seamlessly as possible.
Okay. But say if you just have the idea at the moment and you know what sort of product you want to build around that
Yeah.
problem, would you say the best sort of route would be to go to the sort of route that you went down, is to join like a hardware accelerator?
Totally. It's such a good route to go down, because especially if you are a sole founder, or if there's maybe one or two of you that have an idea and you just need that helping hand in maybe product development, if you need a workshop space, if you need access to like 3D printers or other designers or engineers. So it's a really good like step in the right direction when you're creating a hardware business or product. So I would 100% recommend looking into accelerator programs, because for me, it was actually a big turning point in turning my idea into a business. So I would recommend it
And these
definitely.
are accelerator programs that specialize in hardware products, because yeah, I guess there are a lot of most companies that are cropping up now are, their software.
Yeah, there are a lot of different accelerators out there. It's about knowing what you need from it. So if you are a physical product, your needs are going to be very different to someone who's maybe developing an app or service.
Yeah.
So it's important to know what that accelerator offers you, really, and what they specialize in. Just do your research. There are so many out there. There are, like, for example, there's an NHS specific accelerator if you're a medical product. There's hardware specific accelerators. There are a few out there, and if you do your research, especially in London, you could definitely find one that works for you. And hopefully, if you're awarded a position on the program, you'll get a real kind of push in the right direction, and you'll get a lot of support as well. So yeah, that was my journey with product to business, and the accelerator course played a massive role in that.
What were the kind of the most important things that they gave to you?
That's a good question. Yeah, the main things they offered was the education around manufacturing a product, and the actual real life experience as well of actually going to China, visiting manufacturers and engineers and seeing how they work was really, really useful. Um, and also the kind of team aspect as well. So we had quite a comprehensive team on board from like branding background or marketing backgrounds and product
Yeah.
development experience. So they kind of got, all these people around you that were really knowledgeable about everything it takes to start a business. And you kind of just, I think for 6 months, I was just a sponge. I listened to everything they said. I researched everything. I just got so heavily involved in it because it was so interesting. And they really, really educated me on even things like structuring a business, like writing a business plan. I didn't have a clue how to write a business
Yeah.
plan. And then I did this and you thought, okay, right, okay, I can do this now. I understand, what investors are looking for. I understand what my customers are looking for. So yeah, it's a really great experience, and I would highly recommend looking into doing that or taking that route because it was definitely good for my business anyway.
Yeah, that's really good advice because I guess a lot of people, especially with physical product ideas, can be very lost, especially because I mean, there's a lot of support that I've come across that are very software orientated, and it seems like software's like it's easier to build from scratch. I would say, just from my
I would
experience.
completely agree with that. And the one of the barriers to starting a hardware business is that it does take a lot of money, and it's a physical product. You need physical materials and machinery and packaging, and when you're trying to sell and build a hardware business, you need that initial push in the right direction. You need that initial cost outlay and money into the business to be able to do it. So there are definitely different kinds of challenges that come with hardware businesses, but don't let that deter you. There are so many options available, and you will get people investing in hardware businesses because, they have so much to offer. It's
Yeah,
not
for
just
sure.
software that's important. Product-based businesses are great.
And you're a real champion when it comes to these sort of like grant funding schemes and all these competitions. Yeah,
Oh, thank
like you apply to many of them and you win a lot of them as
I
well.
had a very lucky year last year, so I think my strategy was with getting my name out there and my brand out there, and raising awareness was just to apply for everything I could. So especially when you graduate university, there are lists of opportunities available to you when it comes to competitions and grant funding. There are so many initiatives with through the Mayor of London, Santander, Tata, NICU. There are so many different opportunities. And why wouldn't you just apply if you've done the work and you've got the concept and you feel comfortable talking about it? Why not just pitch your idea? See what the response is like, get your brand out there, show that you're kind of like taking the initiative to start your business journey and actually work hard for money as well, because like these competitions that they're not small pots of money. I mean, I've won like
No,
twenty
yeah, they're
thousand
not.
pounds, and they helped me with not only living and being able to work on my business full time over the last 18 months, but doing really big things with the product development and doing exhibitions and spending money on my packaging. That it's tangible help. So I would definitely say apply for student focused entrepreneurial competitions, because there's quite a lot of money to be won, and they really do help you on, especially if you're starting off with an idea. They give you that bit of money and that bit of support around you that makes you feel like you can achieve what you're trying to achieve as well.
And you meet really cool people in the process. That's what I've found.
Definitely. Like some of the judging panels were like really inspiring entrepreneurs. Like I met Richard Reed from Innocent at the Mayor of London. He was on the judging panel. And it was just like incredible to have someone like that not only hear you pitch, but actually listen to your business. And actually get their advice as well is just so valuable. And I never would have probably met him if I hadn't done these competitions. And they have some like incredibly influential people at their marketing events afterwards. Sorry, not marketing events, networking events even afterwards. So you get you're in arm's reach with these people who could be potential investors, or they could be potential friends or collaborators or brand champions. You never know. So you're instantly exposed to these incredible people that could help you elevate your business and yourself, really. So it's a really, really
Yeah,
good
definitely.
opportunity. And I would definitely say, if you're thinking of applying for a competition, just do it. Even if you feel like you may not be the best, or you may want another month to work in your pitch, just go for it. You're not going to lose anything. You can always apply next year. You may as well just go for it.
Yeah, exactly. And like a big part of these competitions is the pitching, obviously.
Yeah,
Have you always
yeah.
been good at pitching, or is it something that you've kind of learned along the way just from doing it so many times?
Um, I definitely think with pitching, it's practice does make perfect. And every time I pitch, I get, a different bit of advice from someone on how to either speak or stand, where to pause, how to talk. So you do definitely learn as you go. And there's no better practice than standing up in front of like 100 people and just doing it, because I think the more you do it, the more confident you become, and the more refined your pitch becomes as well. Like for me, I've always enjoyed public speaking, but I was never, very good at it at school, or, I would kind of just waffle, or I would look at the floor, I would fidget. But you
Yeah.
learn while doing competitions as well, like how to present yourself, how to talk, how to hold yourself. So yes, it's really interesting to do these, because you learn as you go as well, and you get better every time, which is really good.
Yeah, a lot of the competitions that I've been to, I actually won one competition for pitching. It was like a 1 minute pitch in front of loads of people, and they would vote for you.
Oh,
And I was by nowhere, like I was not the best business there. There were some businesses there that were solving some amazing problems, and they were just really cool businesses that were probably better than my one, I would say. But their pitching wasn't as good. Yeah, so their pitching wasn't as good, I think, and that's what the feedback for the rest of them was. So it's a skill that's very valuable, and it can very much elevate you to get the attention of other people, for them to, spark that conversation to elevate your business.
Oh my God, 100%. Literally, like what you just said is what I felt in every single competition. Like you go there and you hear about these businesses, and you're standing there thinking, oh my God, I'm never going to win this. How am I going to compete with these, incredible problem solvers, or these really crazy tech companies that have been working on it for a few years? They have 10 people. But what it comes down to is, how well have you communicated what you're doing? Do people
Yeah,
understand
100%.
what you're doing? Because I've been to so many events, and I'm not naming names, and it's nothing personal, but when I see someone pitch and at the end you go, wait, what do they do? You've instantly lost your business. You've instantly lost.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
You can throw fancy facts at people for 2 hours, and it doesn't make them care any more, any less about what you're doing. But if you pitch from a perspective of telling your story, and you try and be authentic, and you try and be clear in what you're saying, then people are going to relate to you and want you to do well and champion you, because you've done a good pitch. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So yeah, it's not all about your actual business. Sometimes it's just about how you communicate your business. That's the main thing in these
yeah,
competitions,
definitely.
especially.
And a lot of times these guys are like very clever people. Like the one that I'm talking about, they were the PhD students. They were like university like professors. So these are very, very clever people. And obviously their products are amazing. Their
Hmm.
tech is amazing. But their ability to
Yeah.
communicate it, that's the thing that they need to work on. But they don't really think about that as an asset that they need to work on.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Because for me, I think that is one of the most important things
Yeah.
about a business, is communicating what you're trying to do. And people will listen if it's something they understand. I don't know if you've ever been to a pitching event. You're sitting there, you're thinking, in the first 5 seconds you don't understand maybe what they're trying to explain, and you just
Yeah,
switch
you're like, what is this? I don't know.
you're instantly like disinterested, and that sounds really harsh, but it's so true. If you don't explain to your audience what you're doing, then why should you, or explain it to them well, then why should they listen? Like, it's your job to be the best communicator of your business, and be able to explain it just really clearly and be really concise. Otherwise people they just switch off. And that's not just an audience at a competition, that is also investors, that's people that are potentially going to work with you, for you. If you can't communicate to an audience, then how are you going to communicate to someone who's going to invest in your company, So treat it as an exercise for that as well, getting yourself prepared for, raising money and communicating to the people that are going to be part of your business in the future.
Yeah, definitely. And your communication skills, I'd say, is a very big asset of your business branding, because you do communicate your mission and what you want to achieve very well overall in your brand. And that's something that I really liked about you. How do you how do you achieve that?
It's definitely a process, and it's definitely something that I've been working on now, being stuck in lockdown and having time to really think about my brand and my vision. And it's just about being really clear about your mission, your story, and people care about why you do something more than what you do sometimes. So for me, my brand is built around helping my family and my brother, and I don't hide that. That's everywhere, from the name of the brand, Cosy Care, it's Welsh, to my Instagram page. I'm always talking about my brother and his struggles and just sharing that. And yeah, I wanted that to come across in the brand, that it was really kind of like authentic and genuine, and that's what I've stuck to. And I've tried not to really be this kind of faceless corporate brand, and just brought my personality and my story into it. And there's things like our values and our core mission, that's not really changed over the course of the 2 years. That stayed the same. And I just want to try and be consistent with that, so people, in the end, really trust us as a brand and actually get to know us as well. So that's kind of what I'm trying to achieve with what I'm doing at the minute anyway.
Yeah, that's definitely how I see it. And I think you're building a really good brand for like children and babies, and the
Oh,
trust is definitely there, I can sense. Do you have sort of any ideas for new products that you would want to move into? Because your product right now is patented and it's ready for launch, but it's your hero products, and there's probably like other ideas and other sort of areas and other problems that you've looked into.
100%. Like the product that we're aiming to launch is almost our hero product. So, like you said, we've got it protected, and that's the product that we've kind of been refining, specifically over the last 18 months. I've definitely been working on other ideas, and I'm really excited to like expand the product range and make it, into different characters, different colors, different shapes. I've also been thinking about, how do we make this appropriate for other markets. So eczema is where it started, but itching is a problem in probably 20 to 30 other conditions, and I want to expand into that. So even things like pregnancy can cause itchiness, even things like diabetes can cause itchiness, HIV, liver failure, all these things have the same symptoms. So that's kind of what I want to focus on, is really expanding the problems that my product could essentially solve, and make moves in different markets, and even making like an adult version, for example. So I'm always thinking about ways to expand and make it, really accessible to as many people as possible. And thinking about how cold, can be applied to help other conditions. So yeah, I've definitely been working on
Yeah.
loads of new ideas and loads of potential markets to move
I'm
into.
really interested in the whole patent process,
Yeah.
because we talked about the whole idea to prototype phase, and then obviously you went to China, and it's kind of at the like almost at the mass production stage, right? So
Mhm.
how, and like the patent process must have been involved somewhere prior to when you went to China, right? Or was it sort of at the same time?
Yeah, no, you're right. It happened prior to, oh, sorry, in at the same time, essentially. So one thing that I find people struggle with when releasing an idea is how and when to get it protected. Because obviously you want to talk to people about your products and show people about your product, but you want to make sure that you're not impacting on your patent, or the potential of protecting it. So I kind of held back a lot in China. I didn't really communicate exactly what the product was for, but what I did do is I communicated what it did. So does that make sense? So I kind of protected an element of it, um,
Yeah.
but without jeopardizing their ability to help, if that makes sense. um,
Yeah, yeah, no, it does. Yeah, it makes sense.
so after China, once I really understood what my product was going to be exactly, and made my kind of final prototype, I then approached a patent attorney in London, and they helped me with my first patent application. And originally, it was just in the UK. So they kind of spoke to me for a few hours. They got to know the product, and then they went away and kind of wrote my patent. And then that was kind of like a collaboration for a few weeks, and then we put in the application. So yeah, that's how I kind of got my product protected, and then we've also now applied for like an international patent as well. Um, because we have the hope of expanding, our market space.
This is something that's very important to you, and it should be because it's intellectual property, and it's the it could be the life and death of your business.
Definitely.
But I think it's something that you don't see. I mean, some people forget about it. It's not something that's always at the forefront of inventors' minds.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
And
how important is like protecting intellectual property to you?
intellectual property is something that people can have different opinions on it. So there are 50% of people that I talk to about IP and patents that say it's a complete waste of money because if you can't afford to protect it, what's the point? And then there's the other side of the room, the other 50% that say it's absolutely crucial to patent your idea because it's not only an incredible commercial tool for getting the interest of investors and proving that you can almost own an idea and a market space. It also proves that it's inventive and that it hasn't been done before. So I meet people that are on very opposing kind of sides of IP. My personal opinion is I think it's incredibly important. I think it not only gives you a fantastic tool to show potential investors and partners that you are a real true invention, that you are unique, and that you have that commercial mindset of actually getting your design protected. I had to borrow like
Yeah.
£5,000 off my mum and dad to get my first patent, and I did it, and I thought, yeah, this is money
Oh.
well spent. This is what I knew how important it was from the get-go, and I feel really strongly that it is something so important to have in your business, because once you start selling, and if someone copies you, you don't really have a leg to stand on then. But if you become a company with millions and you have this fantastic comprehensive IP strategy, you can really own that market space and really own that product. I personally think it's very important, but there are obviously a lot of different opinions on that.
At what point do you think it's important to investigate, getting a patent with a physical product?
I think that's a really good question. And that's something that I found really challenging is knowing, okay, do I start the patent process now with this prototype or do I wait another month and make it better and it might change?
Yeah.
The thing that I did is I got it to a stage where the technology that I was designing was at a certain standard. I felt, yeah, this is actually, it's not going to sway too much from this core concept. So I spoke to a patent attorney and I actually just asked for their advice on it as well. I said, look, it may change color. We're obviously going to optimize the technology, but the core principles and the core components that make up the technology that we're offering will pretty much remain the same. So their advice to me was, you're at a really good position with your prototype. It's probably about 85% there. Start the patent process, and in your second application, if it's improved or optimized or changed shape, then we can update it. But for me, I felt like I was in a comfortable position where I thought this product is really nearly there. The technology, we've proven it to work. and it's only going to be optimized. It's not going to be drastically changed. Does that make sense? So it kind of felt like I was in a comfortable position to get it protected at the stage I did.
But yeah, I guess a lot of people will not really know the stage that they're ready to go to, but I guess you'll never really know, right?
I mean, it's true. I mean, you could work on a product for 7 years and constantly change it and adapt it and make it better. But then you spent 7 years where you could have been selling products, you could have been out there and getting
Yeah.
back and, marketing and testing it. So I always think, get your product to a position where you're comfortable with the design or the technology or whatever you want to protect, whether it be a patent or design rights. Get it to a stage where you're comfortable that it's not going to massively change from that point on, and then get it protected. And if and communicate with your patent attorney as well. Explain to them what stage you're at, because they see this every day. They work with inventors, they work with new ideas, they know what's out there, and they'll have some really sound advice on that, and they'll probably put to bed a lot of your worries about, is it the right time kind of thing. So speak to your attorneys, because and a lot of people do it for free as well. Like my patent attorney gave me a free hour consultation, which was super helpful. So they're definitely there to help you and guide you. They're not cheap though, so once that hour meeting's over, make sure you
Yeah.
you know how much they're going to be costing you.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a very cheap process. It's not a very quick process either. How long did yours take?
Um, so the patent application, to write the first UK patent took about 3 weeks, and then we put the
Okay.
application in once we were kind of happy. But it's the preparing for the patent application that takes the time. So it's like, the CAD drawings, the technical drawings, the scope of your claims. So, for example, with mine, it was for eczema, but I also knew that it would be suitable for loads of other conditions that caused itchiness. So I asked my attorney to put in my patent 19 other skin diseases and diseases that cause itchiness, because I knew in my mind that in maybe 4 or 5 years' time, I would be in all these markets, not just the eczema markets. So it's also about kind of predicting where your product's going to go, and make sure that your patent also covers that.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So we're kind of almost running out of time. So I'd love to get your take on where do you see the future of Cozy Care? Where do you how big do you see this getting as a brand?
Oh, that's a lovely question. Obviously, I'm very ambitious, and I would love to create a completely new category within kind of the skin disease sector, and be the one brand that families kind of turn to for instant relief through fun alternative products. So, with that one brand that parents think, oh, my child's got eczema, I'm gonna I'm gonna Google Cosy Care. I'm gonna use one of their products. So that's kind of my goal and my mission, really.
I think you're on the way to that because your branding is definitely, yeah, it's definitely on point to deliver that ambition, I
Thank you.
think.
I've got my fingers crossed. I mean, I've got every hope and faith in it. And it's just about,
Yeah.
keep. I'm gonna keep going and just keep working on it, and make sure that I really do what I've set out to do, really, and just execute a good brand and a good product.
So what's the immediate next step?
So we're looking to launch, essentially. We've fully designed and protected our hero product. And with everything with the coronavirus, our launch date was delayed, unfortunately, but we're still really trying to focus on launching product this year. We're also working on kind of building our Instagram following, which is Cosy_care, getting people interested in what we're doing, and almost getting some pre-orders and subscribers for our product. I also have been writing a few children's books as well, so I've been giving out those for free at the moment. Just kind of works into our brand ethos of giving back and
Yeah.
supporting families. So I wrote a book in uni about the mental impacts of living with skin disease, and I kind of decided to give that out for free. So that's on the Instagram as well, and just trying to connect with people at the minute, and making sure that people know we're still here to help, and
Yeah.
just keep going, really, with what we're trying to achieve.
I'll definitely put the links for both of those, the Instagram and the book, in
Oh, thank
the in the description, because it would be great for people to discover it. I think that's an amazing place to end the podcast on. So thank you so much, Lauren, for joining me. It was a real pleasure interviewing you.
Of course, it was my pleasure. Thank you for asking me to be involved. I've thoroughly enjoyed recording my first ever podcast.
It wasn't like a bad experience, was it? It was okay.
No, it was good. I wasn't as nervous as I thought I'd be. It was all good.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Millennial Entrepreneur podcast. It really was a pleasure recording with Lauren about Cosy Care, and please be sure to check her out on Instagram, her business out on Instagram and LinkedIn, of course, as well as her book. The links are all in the description. If you did enjoy this episode, please be sure to leave a 5-star rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. It really does help us out. Share it with your friends, follow us on Instagram. All our new episodes are posted there. One last thing, if you are an entrepreneur with an idea, I've got an amazing opportunity for you. We're working with Msd Uk Innovation Challenge. They're looking for startups or scale-ups who can pitch solutions from the following categories: advanced digital technologies, healthcare and well-being, sustainable futures, and social innovation. There's big prizes to be won. Previous winners have been offered scholarships to attend Ivy League's Tuck School of Business in Dartmouth in the US, along with corporate mentoring and tailored introductions with global brands. So definitely get involved. I'm applying personally, and the applications close on the 29th of May 2020. So I'll put the link in the description, and that's the end of the episode. So thanks for listening. My name's Msd Uk. I'll see you in the next one.